Hello, Mountaineer Nation. Yes, the spring showcase is now in the books. Hopefully, all that attended had a great time. You know, they always say that it's almost heaven, West Virginia, and I would assume on Saturday it was almost heaven with West Virginia University's spring showcase of Mountaineer talent, the skeletal drills and all the other drills that they ran, and also fan participation. So for the Logan Bennett's of the world that showed up, Mountaineer Nation, thanks you. I just didn't have a chance to get down there this year. But believe you me, the Mountaineer, the West Virginia University Showcase was on my mind. But now let's get down to more business. Tomorrow, which is going to be on Monday, April the 7th, there's a widely anticipated settlement that's going to happen. Judge Claudia Wilkin is probably going to finalize the NCAA deal with the players and also involving the Power Four conferences. It's that landmark deal, the $2.78 billion settlement. And fast forward real quickly, it's going to amount to $35,000 estimated for women's basketball players. For men's basketball and football, it's estimated to be $135,000 a year. Those are just rough estimates with regard to profit sharing. So I'm going to be talking about the triangle. So the first part of this triangle is the compensation deal. So if it comes through this coming week, as it's widely anticipated, then the players will start getting paid as professional college football players. And what a day it's going to be. So I would assume that most of the universities are getting in high gear anticipating this decision. But it should be a great day for the players and probably for the people that are chasing the athletes around that want to get paid. So it's all in the game. So that's the triangle. That's the first part of it. And I call that the hard cap. That's what's been put in place. So there should be no more question about how much athletes are getting paid. It's going to be front and center. That's what they'll get paid. It'll go into effect probably July 1st, start getting paid during the season like the NFL does. I think that's the way it works. And as I said before, it's going to be 1099 compensation and not W-2. A story that's going to come later because there's going to be a lot of lawsuits coming. I predict it on employer-employee relationships, which some of them are out there now, and also collective bargaining. But this decision goes to establishing a hard cap for what players should be paid based upon name, image, and likeness, which could be problems as well, but I'm using the court's language. So that's the first part of the triangle. The second part of the triangle is what happens to the Neal Collective when this agreement goes into effect. Well, I really don't know. But one thing I do know, it's been reported that the Power Four conferences are hiring Deloitte to look over all Neal deals that are by college athletes. They're trying to get the transparency. But for me, the first thing they ought to do is kill the Neal Collective and make it to be used for sports infrastructure across all programs in college. You do not want the players negotiating and dealing with boosters. It's a disaster. So that would make part one of the triangle ineffective if they can just go make deals and put $2 million on top of what they're being compensated for. So like I said, part one of the triangle is the hard cap. 135,000 for Power 4 football and basketball players, and men and women's 35,000. You'll kind of see the inequity there. So you're going to have Title IX and gender equity come into play, because those numbers don't look good in just looking at it uh, from just a purely economic standpoint when it's men and women playing sports at the collegiate level. So there will be lawsuits on that. That will have to be factored in as to how you came up with those numbers. But getting to step 2, you've got to have a system that looks at all NEAL deals. The ones I prefer is open, arm's length bargaining. You go out, college athletes, and get your agents or whoever you got to get the market for you. What are you trying to get? Local deals? Car dealership deals? What is your market value? That's what Deloitte is going to try to figure out from all contracts, because if it doesn't have a qualified business purpose, then that just means that you're just throwing money to athletes, not based on a market value, but an artificial market value, just to get them to attend your preferred university. Now you see why I really don't like the NEAL being involved with endorsements at all. The best that anybody could be is an agent for the player, and let's see what they're worth in the open market. What do we mean in part 2? Well, here's what I mean. Can an athlete go out there and get a car dealership deal? Can he get a deal with Pepsi? Can he get a deal with Coca-Cola? Can he get a deal with Rolex? Can he get a deal with Dick's Sports? Can he get a deal for Hanes underwear? What can they get? And it goes for women as well. They can get all those endorsements that the men get. So that's part 2. But that's arm's length. That's real NEAL endorsement deals, not propped up recruiting endorsements. So I want to see what the NCAA and Deloitte is going to cook up and what they're going to do to get qualified endorsement deals. If we want to clean the sport up, let's just start cleaning it all the way up. The NEAL as it works now, kill it. It needs to be repurposed and redesigned, because you don't want it to come in and circumvent part 1 of the deal that's going to come down very soon, and that's the basic hard cap compensation for NCAA athletes. So do you get it? Part 1, hard cap profit sharing based upon the NEAL for women and men. Part 2, they're trying to engage Deloitte to be able to analyze all of the NEAL contracts to make sure that they're legit contracts and there's just not inducements for these players to start circumventing the rules that the federal judge is going to hand down on this compensation. Now you're wondering, what's number 3? And I call all of this the triangle. The third part of the triangle is enforcement. Well, the NCAA is trying to create an organization that's going to handle all of the enforcement. If you don't obey the rules and you're going around paying parents for them to come to your schools, and they already know which schools are perennial cheaters. They already know who these people are that's going to try to circumvent the rules. Well, they're trying to create another enforcement organization. Is it going to be an organization that is a tiger without teeth? Are you going to be able to put a sports program on the death penalty when you start funneling money under the table again to athletes to get them to come to your school? You're going to be talking about 135,000 is not enough. 35,000 for the women is not enough. So you're going to try to go and funnel money. So that's what this third part of the triangle is about, enforcement. And I want to see how that really works, because the coaches, some of them have been quoted as being leery of the enforcement mechanism. Yes, a lot of the coaches want rules put in. And I want them put in because of integrity and competitiveness and an even playing field. That's what I want for West Virginia University if they're ever going to compete for a national championship in football or basketball. You got to lay some rules down. So there you have the triangle. And that's what this is all about, baby, is the money. So you got to follow the money. Can the third part of the triangle follow the money and find out who's getting paid? Are the endorsement deals legit? Did you break the rules? What are the penalties this time when you break the rules? What is it going to be? Is it going to be a tap on the shoulder like it's been for the last 50 years and people go on about their business? So let's see how tough those rules are going to be, because we have part one, the hard cap, part two, Deloitte trying to look at all of the NEO contracts and see if they're legit, if they're arm's length. You don't need to have them making deals with boosters. Get the boosters away from the athletes and away from the game as it's played. They are the infrastructure bunch. That's what I need them for. Repurpose that money to help the university across all sports programs. And like I said, the third part of the triangle is definitely an enforcement unit. But I want to really see how that works and what tools they're going to use to drive this new NC2A model, because there's a lot of lawsuits going to be looming about Title IX, collective bargaining, and as well as whether these athletes are ever going to be employees of the university. That's the way it goes in the sports. So you remember the triangle. And ESPN broke the article on some of these organizations that are going to be involved in the triangle. And they're talking about saving Neil from the dark side. Well, Neil was already in the dark side. When the Neil Collective was created, it was not created equal. A lot of the programs had the $20 million Neil collectives. And what did that mean? You get the best athletes coming to your school because you can pay for them. It was nothing more than a recruiting tool from the beginning. But if the NC2A and all the schools join together to do what they're supposed to be doing, you're protecting the hard cap. Show your books. Show your money. It's a 5-year deal. And you can go retroactively 5 years for former players that did not get what they were supposed to in compensation. So it's far-reaching here. You're going to have compliance issues because kids are going to be getting money now. You're going to have agents on the campus trying to track these guys down for the limited amount of money they're going to be making. So they're going to need some enforcement and rein the agents in. All you need for a college football player today going forward is marketing agents. Can they get you arm's length deals? Not cooked up deals by the Neo Collective to get you to come to the campus. Can you go out and get that deal from Pepsi and Coca-Cola, Dick's, all of these big time companies? So we're going to see just about how much each athlete is worth on the open market when it comes to real name, image, and likeness. That's what it's all about. And I call it, and I've coined it, and it's mine. It's called the triangle. Let's see how the triangle works in the new NC2A model. And I've already discussed there's litigation going to be coming down the pike. But for now, we will have a compensation piece in place. And if players right now are flying around the country trying to get on the roster, you don't get paid unless you get on the roster. That's the long and short of it at the Power 4 level. So whatever you've got to do, handle your business and get on a squad, because now it's about the Benjamins just as much as my green shirt right here. It's about money. So whatever you're doing, get on it. And you heard it here, the triangle. At Be Frank for Real, one minority voice, one view. Yes, it's all about the Benjamins. No doubt about it. So here again, I've given you another mini lesson. Starting out with the triangle, you can call it the triangle one-on-one. You can call it what you want to call it. You can repost, clicks, and likes. You've not heard it anywhere else because it requires you to think deep about the whole system. It's not just about a game. It's about the business of the game. It's about the athletes getting what they're supposed to be getting. The coaches can get what they're supposed to be getting. Everybody can feed at the trough. But it does no good if one group benefits and another one doesn't. So I'm about an even playing field, competitiveness, and integrity. That's what it's about. That's why I watch the game. I want coaches to be on an even playing field so I can really measure who can coach and who can't. Who's the better coaches and who's the average coaches. But if you have a few guys that can spend $20 million on NEO, artificial system, and try to circumvent the hard cap that's coming down from the federal judge, then we won't have much of a system. Signing off, C.Ivan Franklin. See ya!